The war within Prepatch is here, so what the hell are we doing with our Windwalker Monk? You will notice all of your talents have been reset and there have been some changes. Hello, I'm Javier, by the way. If you are new here, I usually do quite in-depth but beginner-friendly guide videos for PvE and PvP, and I will be doing, as soon as the War Within launches, full guides for everything. So make sure you subscribe to not to miss out on those. So usually, as I said, they are in depth. I'm going to be doing a bit more of a shallow guide today, assuming that you've probably got all your gear already from Dragonflight and we're not looking at stat priorities and things like that. I would assume that you're probably just wondering, what the hell am I actually doing now with my rotation while we're still in Dragonflight with these new talent changes, etc. And that is where I'm going to help you out today with how the hell we're going to play in the pre-patch period. Putting it fairly simply, from left to right is what we're going to be doing in the rotation. I'm obviously going to go through why we're doing these things. So, number one, we're going to be using Zwen the White Tiger. And oh yeah, by the way, they haven't fundamentally really changed massive parts of the rotation, but I've been fiddling around with different abilities before obviously filming this, and I feel like rather than some specs where I'm literally getting rid of spells, adding spells in, we're really just shuffling a lot, I feel like, in Windwalker Monk in the pre-patch. And it still feels really good. It still feels like the Windwalker Monk that we know and love, which I think is really good. Some specs like Arcane Mage have had complete overhauls, and I don't think I love that, but I don't think Windwalker Monk needed that. But I do like how it's a little bit more, in my opinion, simplified down, while still being fairly fast-paced and having that kind of martial arts feel and class fantasy to it. So invoke Zwen the White Tiger, summoning an effigy of Zwen the White Tiger for 20 seconds. He's going to be attacking your primary target and 3 additional enemies within 10 yards, dealing damage. Every 4 seconds, Zwen strikes your enemies with empowered Tiger Lightning, dealing 8% of the damage you've dealt to those targets in the last 4 seconds. As he's building up, imagine, some of your damage and then whacking it out onto your enemies for you. After that, the next one you're going to be wanting to use is Touch of Death. You exploit the enemy's weakest point, instantly killing creatures if they have less health than you do. Deals damage equal to 35% of your maximum health against players and stronger creatures under 15% health. Spawns 3 chi spheres, granting you 1 chi when you walk through them. Because it's not under the health, I can't really show you, but when you do use it, when they've got less health than you, basically the little spheres spawn and you do literally walk through them to get your chi. Now, speaking of chi, let's talk about the monk resources in case you are new here. We have energy, which is the bar you can see here, 150 of it, and then we have our chi, which certain abilities will generate and certain will spend. So the next ability on our list is going to be Tiger Palm. Strike with the palm of your hand, dealing damage. It has a 9% chance to make your next blackout kick cost no chi. That is this ability here. More on that in a minute. So we're going to use that, and you can see that it has procced our blackout kick, meaning that is now free to use. The reason we're going to use our Tiger Palm at this point in the priority list is basically if we have under 5 chi, because it's going to be generating 2. So if it's got under 5, we're going to generate 2. We're going to use our Tiger Palm. And if we're about to cap on energy, you can see here my energy goes up quite fast, and using Tiger Palm will use a lot of energy. We're using Tiger Palm as a kind of energy spender, and just to make sure we're not capping on our energy. Then we have Whirling Dragon Punch. You'll notice here I can't use it yet. It performs a devastating whirling upward strike, dealing damage to all nearby enemies. So FYI, this is the single target spec I'm showing you. I will show you the Mythic Plus and AoE rotation. It's basically the same. We're just going to tweak a few little things in the talent tree I've been testing for. So this deals reduced damage beyond 5 targets. It's only usable when both Fists of Fury and Rising Sunkick are on cooldown. And that is this one here and this one here. So we can only use this when these are on cooldown. From left to right is your priority list, so it can get a bit, convoluted because of that. So after that, we're going to use Strike of the Windlord. Imagine we can use this. We then use Strike of the Windlord, strike with both fists at all enemies in front of you, dealing damage and reducing their movement speed. After that, we're going to use our Rising Sun Kick, kick upwards, dealing damage and reducing the effectiveness of any healing on the target. Oh dear, we haven't got enough chi. We're obviously going to be using our Tiger Palm to make sure that doesn't happen. Then it's going to be Fists of Fury. It's a channeled attack, as you can see, pummeling our target with our fists. dealing damage to your primary target and to all other enemies over 3.5 seconds. Again, can be channeled while moving, so you can actually channel that and move at the same time. And you'll notice then that while these are both on cooldown, I can now use my Whirling Dragon Punch. So if you can use it, we do want to use it. So even though it's a higher priority than these two, you will need to use these two before you can use it. But once you can, it is a higher priority than these two spells. Does that make sense? Left is the top priority, right is the lower priority. After that, we're going to use our Blackout Kick. Now, one thing to mention about our Blackout Kick and why we're using it here actually is because of our Whirling Dragon Punch. So if we go down to the Knowledge of the Broken Temple, Whirling Dragon Punch grants 4 stacks of Teachings of the Monastery, and its damage is increased by 20%. Teachings of the Monastery can now also stack up to 8 times. Now, if you're wondering then, what does Teachings of the Monastery actually do? Basically, when you use your Blackout Kick, it will actually hit more times per stack of Teachings of the Monastery. So the reason we're using it here in the rotation is to make sure we're not capping on those stacks, so it can stack up to 8, and you are going to want to track it on your buffs bar or using a weak aura, etc., to make sure that you do not overcap on that. Let's just recap where we've gotten to so far so we don't get confused. We're going to use Zhuen on cooldown. We're going to use our Tiger Palm if we're under 5 chi and to not cap on energy. We're going to use Whirling Dragon Punch if we can. If not, we're going to move on and use Strike of the Wind Lord. Then we're going to use our Rising Sun Kick and then use our Fists of Fury. I'm then going to go back and use Tiger Palm because obviously we're under and we want to spend our energy. And then we're going to use our Whirling Dragon Punch. Now we've got a few stacks of Teachings of the Monastery. We're going to use our Blackout Kick. Then we're going to use our Spinning Crane Kick. And you specifically want to use this when you have the Dance of Chi-Ji buff. So this talent is from here. Spending Chi has a chance to make your next Spinning Crane Kick free and deal an additional amount of damage. So we're only going to use it when we have that buff, basically. Now, whenever I actually film these videos, these things always refuse to proc. You'll know that it is procced because it will your Spinning Crane Kick will proc and light up, and it's when you're spending chi. I literally have been sat here for like minutes trying to make it proc, and it just won't. It would of course be when I'm recording that it does this. So it is what it is. So whenever you see your Spinning Crane Kick light up when you've spent chi, that is when we're going to use it at this point in the rotation. After that, we're going to use our Chi Burst, and then after that, use Blackout Kick if you have absolutely nothing else to use. So again, use Invoke Zhuen, use your Touch of Death whenever you can, use Tiger Palm to make sure you're not capping on energy, and if you're below 5 Chi, like we are here, then use Strike of the Wind Lord, then use Rising Sun Kick and your Fists of Fury, going back to then use your Whirling Dragon Punch, and then use your Blackout Kick. And here it is, it's proc. You can see our Spinning Crane Kick had lit up. So we're then going to use this, we're going to use Chi Burst, and then we're going to use Blackout Kick if we've got nothing else at all to spend. And that is pretty much the single target rotation. One other spell that is on cooldown I haven't mentioned is Storm, Earth and Fire. You can pretty much use it like on cooldown, but try and line it up with any other like buffs that you have. So basically you can see here, there's our little people coming out, fire and water or whatever the elements are called these days. So what does it actually do then? No, come on, I want to so we're directing them to only attack this target. But I want to actually show you, here we go. Split into 3 elemental spirits 15 seconds, each dealing 40% of normal damage and healing. You directly control them while Earth, Fire and Spirits mimic your attacks on nearby enemies. That's why I can click it to be like, attack this enemy. While active, they will cause the spirits to fixate on your target. The reason you want to have all your buffs up, which are damage increasing when you use it, is because they will actually benefit from it as well. And therefore, that makes a lot of sense. Your Chi Burst is also going to happen passively. Your damaging spells and abilities have a chance to activate Chi Burst, allowing you to hurl a torrent of Chi energy up to 40 yards forward. So whenever that happens, obviously we're going to use it. And that's just going to kind of happen whenever it is activated. Apart from that, yeah, that really is it. I just want to show you then what we're changing for Mythic Plus and AoE. As you will have seen here, a lot of these spells do actually cleave and do AoE damage anyway. And considering there's only a few weeks left of the patch, I don't really want to get too involved for you, especially if you're learning. You might as well wait till the War Within. But basically, you're going to take a point out of Ferociousness where your critical strike chance is increased while Zhuen is active. And you're going to take out this point here, Brawler's Intensity. The cooldown of Rising Sun Kick is reduced and the damage of Blackout Kick is increased. And we're then going to put them into these two here. Tiger Palm damage increased and Spinning Crane Kick damage is increased and its radius is increased. Therefore, it's going to hit more targets. So we're kind of taking away some single target damage and adding it into AoE damage. We're also going to come out of our Knowledge of the Broken Temple and put it into Revolving Whirl. Whirling Dragon Punch has a 100% chance to grant Dance of Chi-Ji, meaning we can then get, again, a free Spinning Crane Kick and dealing an additional amount of damage. Because, again, Spinning Crane Kick is our main AoE damage dealer, and therefore, if we can do more damage with it, then we are going to hit, we're going to hit more targets for more damage. And then lastly, I'm going to take out my Rising Star talent, increased by 10%, and again, damage is increased. I'm going to move that over to Sequence Strikes. You have a 100% chance to gain Blackout Kick after consuming your Dance of Chi-Ji. So after you consume that free Spinning Crane Kick, you can then immediately then use your Blackout Kick. And where we're going to be getting a lot of free ones, because remember, it's guaranteed when we use our Whirling Dragon Punch, that does mean that we're getting a much more AoE-focused rotation of Spinning Crane Kick, Blackout Kick, Spinning Crane Kick, Blackout Kick a lot more often, and therefore doing more AoE damage. That is really all you're going to change, in my opinion, for the raid to the Mythic Plus build. That is literally it. So adding some more damage into our Spinning Crane Kick and taking some out of single target. Hopefully this guide was useful for you. Again, you can just copy these abilities in this order if you want to see kind of where we're using things and in what order. And if you do need any more help at all with it for the pre-patch, then do consider joining my Patreon. You can get my entire UI on there. I can help you one-on-one. You also unlock a VIP channel in Discord, and there's a lot of macros and video guides on my Patreon that could be helpful for you as well. Apart from that, click this playlist if you'd like to see other The War Within pre-patch guides. I am doing a lot of them. And also, of course, when The War Within comes out, I will be one of the first people, of course, to get the guides out for you, both PvP and also Mythic Plus and raiding. I will be doing full, in-depth guides for all specs ASAP after the